This is the first time I've seen a dual-band M5 stack build this well fleshed out and multi-platform. And what's crazy is, I bet you've never even heard of this project. This is the Monster project by Lab C5. The M5 Monster C5 actually converts this M5Stack Tab5 from a really cool device that I couldn't find anything to do with into an absolute monster of a testing device. This has dual-band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. But what's crazy is that exact same device can actually be added to a Cardputer Advanced through the Growth port. And on top of that, they even made a C5 Flipper Zero GPIO board with GPS. And in a minute, I'll show you the one part that makes this thing a monster. So today we're gonna take a look at all of the cool stuff that Lab C5's got to offer. I've been waiting for so long to find something cool to do with the Tab 5. All right, let's get at it.
This video is for educational purposes only. Only test your own hardware. Doing otherwise is illegal. Don't be a skid.
All right, so let's switch to the top-down camera and get right into it. This is the Monster C5. It's super simple, but really well implemented. I really like that. You can see right there we have the ESP32C5 room, and then we have 3 Grove connectors, a USB port, and an SD card slot. If we look super carefully right here, it says input, output, and then GPS. So input would be what you go to the device, output you can hook another device that has a Grove connector to it, and then this is the GPS. Very cool. And what's different about this is this actually has headers on the back right here that fits through the case. Why that's important is on the back of our Tab 5, this has an expansion port. So we can actually take this and plug this right in. If I can line it up correctly, there we go. Press this in pretty darn firmly. There we go. And now it sits right on the back of the case. You can even screw it in. It's hard to see with my lighting, but you can even screw it in with these little screw holes on the top corners right there. We're not gonna bother doing that. We're just gonna take our little handy dandy case, try to get this wire in a decent enough spot so it doesn't get in the way of anything. Kind of like that. And then we'll get it all put back together. It's a rather firm snap, so it's kind of scary, but there we go. Now we're all plugged in. Super, super cool. So let's fire this thing up and see what it's all about. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the M5Stack Tab5, this is an absolutely crazy device. M5Stack has a really good habit of making very, very good devices at incredibly good price points. So this has got USB A and C at the bottom, a headphone jack, we've got our Grove port, our little button that does everything over there. We have these cool little brass fittings that screw into like pretty much anything you want to screw into them. It's got a camera style mount right there, so it's very, very easy to mount, SD card, and it's got this huge battery from one of those like early 2000s camcorders. Press the button, it comes right out. This thing is amazing, and with the battery, $60. Now, I did want to show off the actual Tab 5 demo software that's on here because it's really freaking cool, and it gives you an idea of what it does. Like you can see right there, that's your tilt. So you can move that little dot around by tilting the device. It's got a camera. Opening the camera, and yeah, you can see, hello. Is it the best camera in the world? Of course not. But remember, M5 makes IoT devices, so this thing's more or less supposed to be like a home automation device that you stick on your wall. It's also kind of neat because you can toggle your USB 5 volts on or off. You can toggle pretty much everything right from inside the device. You can record audio because it's got a microphone. It's running off of an ESP32P4, so it's a very, very competent device for what it is. And yeah, you can interchange almost everything. It's got a real-time clock. It is a very good device. It is a fantastic piece of tech for the money. Now, speaking of fantastic tech, if you want to bring your own custom hardware projects to life like the Monster C5, you need to check out today's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay is your one-stop shop for all things PCB design, manufacture, CNC, sheet metal fabrication, and so much more. And if you're looking for inspiration for your next project, you can check out the project section over at PCBWay. They have hundreds of projects to select from. You can go ahead and just ask them to produce any of them and get to tinkering. And while you're at it, don't forget the module store. There is so many cool parts and tools and everything you could possibly need right there. Sometimes I just like to scroll down through all the modules and see what piques my interest. Thank you so much to PCBWay for your continued support. You guys are absolutely awesome. All right, let's get back at it. And that's all fine and dandy, but we're gonna go ahead and flash this with the M5 Monster C5.
My husband just can't stop watching Talking Sasquatch.
Yes, it's Talking Sasquatch, the YouTube channel bringing modern computer hacking fun to the whole family.
He hacks the planet so you don't have to.
Subscribe today, and remember, don't be a skid.
And here we are with the Monster C5 firmware. Hello, you can see me in the reflection. I do apologize for the exposure. They did add the ability to dim the screen a little bit, but the black background and the color of the icons make it a little bit hard to read, but we'll do the best we can. Now, I do want to put down the disclaimer that we are in our own test environment so that we can't interfere with anything outside of our test environment, and we're not going to accidentally collect any data from anything. So you always want to make sure you conform with all of your local laws because we're ethical hackers, and that's what it's all about. So if we go here and do something like a Wi-Fi scan, we can see all of the Wi-Fi devices that are connected to my test network. Very, very cool. Now you can see all of the devices that are connected to my test environment. Of course, I've got them blurred out because of my own personal privacy. Now, one of the things I want to point out too is that I have this set up in blue team mode. I'll show you in a second that it does have a red team mode, which unlocks a lot more features, but for the sake of this video, we are going to focus on the defensive capabilities of this device. So we can go ahead and head back out to the main page here, and then let's go to Bluetooth. So Bluetooth's pretty interesting. Again, I apologize, it's hard to see, but we can scan for AirTags that are in our test environment, or we can scan for Bluetooth devices and even locate them just like a fox hunt. So what this can do is I have this AirTag right here that I've given myself permission to test, and if we plug this in, this should pop up. There we go, and give it a second, and just like that, you can see my AirTag. This tool is essentially for personal safety to ensure that no one has placed a tracker on you. So let's go back and take a look at the Bluetooth locator because that's a really interesting feature. So what we're going to do is we're going to scan for Bluetooth devices on my test environment. I know we have a ton because those are all Flipper zeros back there, and those all have Bluetooth. So we should be able to see our devices, and then we can effectively fox hunt them. So obviously we're gonna have a lot of these things blurred out, but right here, this is one of my Flipper zeros. And you can see the signal strength will change. If I get a little bit closer, let's see if it'll change it at all. Probably not a lot. There we go, it just went up. So you can tell I'm actually closer to that device than when I was back here. And what that means is if there's a Bluetooth device, we can actually kind of walk around our test environment and find it. Pretty cool. And again, if you ever wanted to do like a fox hunt, you could do a Bluetooth fox hunt doing this. Let's hop out of here. Now, what's really cool about this device is that the developers have been incredibly receptive. Myself and Cal from Valley Tech Custom Solutions, we've been actually talking to the devs and asking for stuff. So they have actually added things to this. So of course, right now, I actually don't have the GPS plugged into it right now, which I'll show you on the other device, but it's not going to get a fix inside my test environment. And anyway, that's kind of the point of the test environment. So just last night, I asked them to add the feature to show all of the access points we collect through war driving on the device itself. And one day later, it's already done. These guys are awesome. Another great feature they added because I asked for it was the ability to dim the screen, which makes it much easier to film. Believe it or not, it gets worse than this. And Cal had asked if he could get rid of the screen timeout so that the screen would stop turning off. They did both of those for us. They're absolutely awesome. And as I had mentioned before, here is the red team toggle. It does give you a very specific warning on here. They only use these features on networks that you own or have explicit written permission to test. So you have to click on I understand that because we use red team mode to simulate advanced persistent threats. By understanding these offensive tools, we can build better firewall rules to block them. So now if we go into the Wi-Fi screen again, you'll notice on the bottom here, we do have some new options down there. So that makes this device extremely capable. All right, so let's take a look at how this works on the Cardputer Advanced because that is super cool. All right, let's move that over here and take a look at this hardware. The hardware on here is actually really freaking cool. So let's see if I can get it apart without breaking them. Yeah. So, if you don't know, M5 devices actually use these old Lego Technics connectors, which are really cool. So I fired off a bunch of them in this bright pink, which I really like. And yeah, they clip into the back here, and then the device goes ahead and clips directly onto here. Now, this device is the exact same as this device, except this one doesn't have the header pins on there. That's the only difference. It's the same hardware. That's what's amazing. So you can actually use this Grove connector, which I know this is really, really long, to connect it to the Grove port on here. So you don't need to hook it up to the back. So I can take this exact same device, hook it up to that one. Super freaking cool. And again, I can use similar connectors to connect it to the back. So we've got the Cardputer Advanced, clip this back on here, give it the old and that's on there pretty darn good. This is way too long. If I had a shorter Grove connector, this wouldn't be so wacky, but yeah, that's how this works. And then I've got over here, this is just a little teeny tiny GPS on here. They work really, really well. So this is just hooked up to Grove. So we can actually plug it directly into, this is the GPS one. You can see kind of on there, it says GPS. We'll plug, that's not the plug. Plug this in. And again, at some point, we'll probably get everything put into a case. I could probably glue this on, but you know, for now it's going to dangle. It's not very elegant at the moment, but this is a brand new project. And the fact that they have all this stuff done, amazing. All right, let's get this thing fired up because, you know, if I took Pork Chop off of a device, this thing's got to be cool because I absolutely love Pork Chop. I'll probably get my own device just for that. So go ahead and switch this on. And we have our device menu just like we had before. Let's kick the exposure down again. So the Cardputer Advanced got pretty much all the same features as the Tab5, just a smaller form factor, a little bit different. You can see that I haven't gotten a track on my GPS that would turn blue. That's just because, again, my test environment is very, very secluded, so I don't get GPS in here, and I don't get anything from my neighbors or anything like that, because, again, we're trying to be as ethical as possible and making sure that nothing we do inside our test environment can negatively impact anybody else. So let's go ahead and check out the Flipper Zero version, because that's super cool as well. Oh yeah, real quick, there's one other thing I wanted to show you guys, because down here we have that Grove output, right? So we have right here a super cool Unit 6L. This is a LoRa device from M5Stack, again, Wi-Fi 6 and LoRa. Very cool. We can take this, plug it into our output, get it in there, and take a look. Now we've got a cute little LoRa device in here as well. And yeah, now we have LoRa on top of this. Because they've got the little Lego pieces, we could put little Lego holes in pretty much anything here and just make some really ridiculously awesome multi-devices. I'm so looking forward to getting some really crazy stuff going on this device. So cool. All right, back to the Flipper Zero. So this actually comes in its own little packaging. Very cool. It's got a little observed precautions for handling electrostatic sensitive devices, which we're not going to do that. That's fine. It looks like they even Sharpied the logo on the back or something like that. Very cool. These guys, again, this is a very early prototype, but the fact that they've got their own packaging and stuff figured out, very cool. So we've got our little card right here, Control the Chaos. That's a fun little name on there. This bump is for the GPS. We have a boot and a reset button just like everything else. Screw the antenna on because we never want to really power any of these things up without an antenna. You do potentially have the risk of frying something, so, you know, make sure everything's plugged in. It's got a nice little pin cover with the little holes on it. Pretty cool. So let's take this out of the way and grab my Flipper Zero. So I know this guy is loaded up with the correct firmware, software, and everything because they made their own FAP or Flipper application or whatever the heck it's called. Go ahead, plug this right into the top here, and So let's go into our applications. Going to go down to GPIO, and I happen to know this is relatively low, so let's just, there we go, C5 Lab Dev. Again, it's brand new, they didn't have an icon for it, but the fact that they made it is awesome. I just updated to the latest version of Momentum, and it's actually, this is a newer version than they built off of, but that's fine. Let's see if this will work without me having to enable 5 volt. Let's check. Oh, yep, the light's on. So you know it's working. Very cool. So this should find every single 2.4 and 5 gigahertz network on my test environment. And yeah, it's got a great little form factor. I like the little cutout up there, and it's just a really nice looking flipper board. Anybody who knows anything about 3D printing, they used fuzzy skin, which gives it almost a tactical feel. All this is going to be blurred out because of OPSEC and personal security reasons, but if we open up one of my test environments, we can go ahead and run a sniffing test. We are only capturing broadcast probe requests, which are public signals. We're not decrypting any private traffic. We can see what's trying to connect and what's not. It works great. We have, again, there's no SD card on board right now, and I can't imagine my GPS is actually working. Let's see if that's true. Let's go to War Drive. Acquiring GPS fix. Yeah, you need clear sky view, it knows. Unfortunately, I never get GPS inside my test environment. It's kind of the point of it all, but this is another amazing signal mapping setup. I absolutely think they did a fantastic job with this. So this is by C5 Lab, and this is the M5 Monster C5, and this board is called the Project Zero, so the Flipper Zero. Very cool. Again, such a great job, and these guys came out with all of this stuff very quickly. Thanks again to Cal from Valley Tech Solutions for hooking me up with these guys. They were so good to work with, and they took all of our feedback. So yeah, these are the M5 Monster C5 boards by Project C5. I've actually never seen a cross-platform device quite like this before, but I think it's time for the multi-device era. Are there any other devices you'd like to see me cover? Again, leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching this long. You guys are absolute legends. We'll catch you next time.